Well, my name is Fred Galang. I been an educator for 25 years now, actually, straight. And I initially, as a practicing artist, my specialty is visual arts. That's really where I was classically trained. But over time, I've seen my interest and passion evolve. I still love traditional visual arts, but ever since the advent of the internet, that really kind of slightly altered my trajectory in terms of what I wanted to teach. And so over the years, I've gone from teaching, your traditional visual arts to photography and video and communications technology. And as it currently stands over the last, I would say 15 to 18 years, it's been media arts. I went on to this like really an experiment, if you will, with my grade 12s. What I decided to do was to give them the prompt as usual. And what they were, the point of the exercise is to sort of say, can we arrive at a place of abstraction and expression where it's non-objective when you're given a series of words? That's really the impetus of the project. So before AI, that's what would be the fuel for our investigation. I give them a prompt, or I let them choose a prompt, whether it comes from a song or a book or poetry, any form of literature or freestyle rap. They will pick a series of or a line or a stanza or a portion of a poem, and they would then create a digital image out of that. That's really what the project was. But I added a wrinkle to this, and the wrinkle was that I gave them the prompt and I gave them 2 weeks to do it, but I did not tell them that the prompts will be fed into Midjourney. So when they finished, I had to wait until they finished because I was pretty curious as the teacher. They submitted the work, and then I fed their actual prompt without changing the sentence structure or words, and Midjourney spat out an image. And that was the image that I used to juxtapose their work with what Midjourney produced. So they have no idea that I was doing this in the background, because had they had an idea of what I was about to do, that would have spoiled the experiment, if you will. And I wanted to see how close or how far apart was the language learning model, the text to image model, to what they interpreted. And some got really close, eerily close, while many, I would say 95%, were just totally out there. Initially, there was a lot of laughter because there's a number of things that were really AI, at least last year anyway, like it has evolved so fast now. The way they would interpret certain strings of words juxtaposed together, sometimes they will just generate gibberish. And I've had a number of examples of that in the works. And so my students were really fascinated about that. There was a few works that were just eerily similar. One is actually a video. So the one video that was generated, it was all in black and white in the forest, but you could see that the mood and the pace of that short film and the feeling that it creates, the tension, was very similar to what Midjourney produced. And I find that fascinating because it didn't matter to me whether a student made a video or they did a digital composite or they did a drawing. I had one student that actually did a drawing. And again, that when you juxtapose it onto the next, they can see there are some similarities, but they can also see what happens when they look at the string of words, they look at what they did and how they interpreted the word, but they're trying to now decipher what fooled the AI based on that prompt. So they're thinking about these things. Many of them will assume, hey, I thought that the prompt that I used is like straightforward. It's not like complex language. how come AI just kind of like Midjourney just kind of read that so differently and vastly opposite of what I'm doing? And so that was kind of like the reaction that was coming out of it. Some are very bewildered because they assume that AI is so smart at interpreting words, even simple sentence structures. They interpreted it in the way that I expected them to interpret it. But then when they looked at some of the Midjourney renderings, they're just like, I don't know why it would generate that image. And we had a really good discussion about how it's still learning, and they didn't realize that machine learning is still learning, and that it happens in stages, and that you have to constantly feed it information in order for it to understand and to form some kind of a response that is remotely similar to what we would do as human beings. So I found that really, really, really fascinating. We discussed a lot of this prior to doing the project. We actually watched a film called Ex Machina, which is one of my favorite films by Alex Garland, and it's a fascinating look into what happens when you have a being that now can express feelings, and they develop and they become like artificially with AGI now, like artificial general intelligence, and then this person learns more about the person that they're interacting with, and then to a point where they then overpower that person, and then that that entity leaves the space. I don't want to ruin the movie, but that's kind of like that was the preface of that film, that it's so close to what we wanted to do. And so we watched that film, we discussed, and we did a number of exercises about how we would interpret certain words through a word association, and then how would machines interpret that as well, without me having to disclose that whatever it is, the source materials that they were using will be eventually fed into Midjourney. So they were surprised. I didn't tell them about when we presented in class, they saw two images. It's their work and something else on the side. And then I explained to them exactly what the project is. Even with the existence of Midjourney, DALL-E, Stable Diffusion, Leonardo, you name it, all of these things, I have never seen a kid, right now anyway, who would entirely make and cull the internet for that. And I will give you another context here. Pre Midjourney, pre all of these text to image models, we are also culling the internet for images when we're doing our composites. And so I would send them to websites that have, you know, Creative Commons attributions models. I would send them to copyright free images, free stock photos. And we would never go to an artist's website and copy and paste their own work into their own work. So at that, you know, even prior to all of this, you know, my students are already kind of doing that, because as human beings, we're all referential. It doesn't matter if you're a writer, scientist, historian, an artist, or a designer. You're always referencing so many other different things anyway. You go to the library and you're referencing books. So you're doing a lot of like a lot of this already, and then you're culling information, and then you're going to formulate it here. We've been doing that for the longest time. Now we have this thing called AI assisting us. I'm just saying that we are, as creatures, we're referencing everything anyway. We use a lot of word associations to write songs or to write a story. We look at other people's past works, current works, to inspire us. So in a way, the way we gather and we synthesize is similar to what AI is doing.